a song called he sang a song called "It's Not Easy Being Green," right? The frog saying, "It's not easy being green."
Yes.
And that's how I think about being the light of the world. It's not an easy calling to be the light of the world. Do you agree?
Yes.
It's not that easy because it calls for us to know something about ourselves that is not reflected in the world around us.
Yes.
It calls us to know beyond the messaging of our world, to know our divine identity,
Yes.
right? And all the disciplines of the world throughout history, the mystics have told us that this is the great truth.
Yeah.
Ernest Holmes said, "It's been said that we can know God only insofar as we can become God." Now, to the world, that sounds blasphemous, doesn't it?
Yes.
But Jesus, quoting the scriptures that he grew up on, said, let me remind you, you are God's sons and daughters of the Most High, every one of you. You know this, we teach this in Unity.
Yes.
A Course in Miracles, which is popular in the US. I don't know about where you are. It's not something I study, but I'm aware of some of its messaging. A Course in Miracles says, "Today I will accept the truth about myself. I will arise in glory and allow the light in me to shine upon the world today. I am the light of the world." This message is through and through the traditions that precede us in our lifetime. And in the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of the not canonized scriptures, the Nag Hammadi scriptures found in the 1950s, in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, "When you see me, you see the Father. When you see me, you see the Father." So, this in our world is audacious. This, and audacious is not meant to be a very positive word in our world. The word audacity is often used in a negative way. Like, you have the audacity to get in line ahead of me. You see, it's used in a negative way. But but I added divine to audacity for the title of the book, precisely because it requires us to be bold, to be the light of the world. It requires us to be bold and to not cater to the messaging of the masses, which tells us our religious training, most of us that we were raised in, has told us that we are weak, that humans are weak. Only God is strong, and therefore we are to be weak so that God can be strong. We are told that human nature is fallen. We're told that we are sinful. By the time we actually are born, we're born in sin. It makes no sense. It makes no sense when we see it rightly. And Charles Fillmore said this. You can read this in the book Talks on Truth. Charles Fillmore said, "It is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be. You can express all that you can imagine God to be." He said, "It is your mission. It's not just a good idea, it's not just theoretical. It is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be." And he said, "Let this be your standard of achievement. Never lower it, and never allow yourself to be belittled by the cry of sacrilege. If it is, if you can imagine it, if you can imagine it is possible to God, it is also possible to you." I don't think anywhere in New Thought writings could be a clearer message. about our divine nature and how we are to put it to use in our life. So for me, this idea of divine audacity continues to inspire me to be more of a truth teller in life in a positive way, not to be negative. Some of you said, ignore the problem and turn to the truth. Well, in the world today, we're telling people don't ignore the problem, enfold the problem. I mean, embrace our humanity, understand our human experience, feel our human feelings, identify the struggle that we have as a human being. In other words, honor our human self. Don't discount it and don't skip right over it. But our human self is not the fullness of what we are. We know that, right? Our humanity is 100%, absolutely. But we are also 100% divine. Do you agree? 100%, 100% human, 100% divine. That's called wholeness. That's called unity. That's called oneness. So for for a movement called unity, oneness is our aim. To achieve the knowledge of our oneness is our pursuit. And my experience is that in order for me to do that, I have to be bold in claiming that I am not merely human, that I am divine. When I talk about to myself about my human experience, I start to recognize when I talk about something that's happening with me, like right now, you can hear my voice. I've been having some chest congestion and coughing, and I'm healing. It sounds worse than I feel today. um, but I look at that and I say, okay, well, it's moving through me. If I were to only see myself as a human, I would feel suffering. I would feel, oh, how wrong is this that on the day that I am supposed to be speaking to my friends in South Africa, my voice is challenged. Oh, something's really wrong. Easy to think that way, and there's suffering at the thought of that. But here's the thing, that suffering is from a fear of disconnection, right? I suffer because I think something's wrong. And if something's wrong, it's the opposite of oneness or unity. In the fullness of divine life, I am 100% human and I am 100% divine. And my human experience is just, I put it under the direction of my divine identity. Does this make sense to you? I put my human experience under the direction of my divine identity, which means that I remind myself there is no separation. I cannot be separate from all that is, from God, from goodness, from truth, from unity. And so by allowing myself the human feeling, acknowledging my circumstance, and then pivoting. Charles Fillmore used this word. He said, our consciousness is pivotal. It's pivotal. This means we can turn our attention. We can take direction from our humanity, from our human experience, and look at what's going on and saying, this is what's real. Or we can pivot our awareness to the great power that is within us, that we are as we claim it. I am the light of the world. And when we pivot our awareness to that, all of a sudden we have a capacity that we could not see when we perceive ourselves as only human. Does this track with your understanding? Yes. Yes. So now I see myself as in an infinite capacity. And now I have access to the whole kingdom of the heavens, right? The atmosphere of spiritual intelligence, of all life, of all love, of all power, of all order, of all the powers that we have assigned to God. I now have access to that, to the infinite, when I see it through spiritual eyes, when I pivot my attention from my human perception to spiritual awareness. So the whole idea of divine audacity is just for that. It is for knowing and learning and studying about the great power that we have access to, being able to name it, being able to define it in a way that it can be useful to us. Because I'll be the first to say, when I say to myself, I am the light of the world, it's a beautiful thought. And I have a glimpse of what I know that to mean. But when I clarify that and ask myself, what kind of light is needed in this moment? Now I can be more specific and allow myself a description of that light that I can embody to be the living light, right? To express that light deliberately in my life. This is where the 12 powers become so useful to us, because as we study the way each one of them can be useful, the way we can bring them out from within us into the circumstances of our day, now we have spiritual tools and we have an embodiment, an ability to embody that very power and be the Christ in our world in a very clear way. So, very often, even in unity and in new thought, a lot of times we're very general about saying this, to say, yes, I am light, yes, I am the Christ. But if I never define what that means to me in any moment, it's very general and it's very hard to embody it. So my preaching about this is to encourage everyone to pick a power, any power, to study one of the aspects of that power and how it works in life, and to take it on as our assignment for the day. You see? So this becomes what unity has always been known for, which is practical Christianity, right? I am the light of the Christ, and today that light is particularly shining as life, divine life. And I'm going to call it the vitality of life for me this morning, right? Because when my body is going through a healing experience, a physical cleansing, it's easy to feel lower energy, right? The body naturally conserves energy so it can recover. So it's happened before in my career as a minister that either I didn't sleep well the night before I was to deliver a Sunday message, or something like this, like my throat is experiencing some challenge before I have to speak or teach. It's happened before. And so I have learned, and maybe you have as well, to turn my mind, to tell myself, yes, I will rest later, but in the meantime, I have a demand for spiritual vitality. right? And so am going to I'm going to draw from the infinite well of divine life vitality for this time, and I am going to see myself having the capacity of infinite vitality. I'm able to embody that vitality because it's in the atmosphere around me. That atmosphere is permeable to my body temple, to my mind and my heart, to my voice. That vitality is ever available. When we say God is ever present, that's another way to say it. But more specifically, divine life vitality is mine. I claim it. I claim it now. I am the light of the world, and that light is divine life vitality. You hear the clarity in that? When I am that clear, I'm now relying on the resources that are well beyond my physical capacity. And now I can shine the light of that infinite divine life vitality right here where I am. And there is no lack, and there is no limit, there is no separation. We can embody the very power that we need in any moment. And I'll bet you've proven that to yourself time and time again. Am I right? So I am interested to know if you have any particular questions or want me to talk about anything in particular as it relates to the 12 powers and our spiritual capacities, or about prayer, whatever is on your mind. I'm eager to interact with you. There, I'll say this. I'll tell you, there's some echo going on. It would be helpful if whoever wants to speak would come nearer to where the source of your audio is, so I can hear your question or your message directly. Do you hear that?
Yeah. More options. Is it one? Speaker. Sure.
Hi, Linda. Is it better?
Good morning. Oh, good afternoon to you.
Hi, I'm Natasha. I just recently there's still a bit of can hear me. For me, I'd like to ask a question on the power of faith. Because I would like and how do we practically apply the power of faith, and not just and to make it not only just use it as the substance of things hoped for, but how do we practically apply the power
Yes.
in our life to manifest that which we feel Spirit has led us to manifest? Thanks.
Yes, yes, you're welcome. Well, the power of faith, like most of the powers can be misunderstood, and we've come to rely upon faith as sort of like a hoping that things will go the way we want them to go, you know? But the light of faith, the power of faith, has three components. The perceiving power is the first, and this is our ability to be able to perceive what is true beyond the appearance. This is so much what we talk about in unity, to look beyond the appearance of things. So, what is true underlying anything that's going on? Like for me, faith can apply right now as I look beyond the appearance of a strained throat, right? An inability to speak as clearly with some coughing going on and stuff like that. What is my perception beyond that? So I look clear to the truth that nothing can interfere with the flow of divine life. Nothing can interfere. And this is the truth that I can look to. This is faith in action, right? I'm going to keep my mind focused on what is real, not what is the appearance. Now, the conviction of faith is knowing what I know, even though I don't see any evidence of it in this moment. That's faith, right? I'm saying this in contemporary vernacular, right? Not in the classical sense. I'm defining it in terms of how it works for us. So conviction is my ability to know what I know without cognitively knowing it, without it looking that way yet in the manifest world. My son experienced this when he was a teenager, and he used to go to all the Youth of Unity rallies, the YOU rallies, when he was a teenager. This one time, there was a limit on how many could attend, and he was told that his name was not picked to go. At first, he was very upset, but then he said to me, "I'm going to that rally, Mom, and I'm just going to prepare for it." So his conviction led him to save his spending money so he could be ready, to tell his employer he was working a summer job at a golf course, and he told his boss that he was going to be gone those days, even though he had no reason to know that. But what he did, conviction allows us to prepare for the reality that we say we want. Right? Conviction is, I know it, I know I'm going, so I'm going to just get ready. I'm just going to be of the consciousness that is ready to have that which I say I want. And then leave it alone. It's not like every day he said, "Oh, I wonder if I'm going to hear today," or, worrying about it, because worry is the opposite of faith. Don't we know that?
Yes.
Worry is the opposite of faith. So not worried, just, okay, I marked my calendar. I've got that time set aside. I'm going to just go about my business. And so he wasn't surprised at all. About a week before this event, he got a call saying someone else pulled out and there was room for him. Now, it doesn't always work that cleanly, right? But it's an example of how we hold ourselves when we have a deep desire and we haven't seen evidence of it yet in manifestation. We stand ready for it. That's our role to do. And another word associated then with faith is expectancy. So my son kept himself in a state of just expectancy. I'm not going to argue against this. I'm just going to be ready. I'm going to stand in the light of being able to see myself at that event, even though I was told I wasn't able to go. It's a simple example, but one that bears fruit, one that we can see in all of the things. We just stand in the readiness. And of course, we have a way of knowing this or something better, right? We do understand that if there's not a direct correlation between what I say I want things to look like and what actually turns out, there's always a reason for my good involved in that, So faith is a living thing. And the way I think about it is this: I am faith-filled and faithful. I am faith-filled and faithful. The scriptures say God is faithful. That's what we mean. That power is faithful. I am faithful, meaning that I embody and put to work that power of faith in my life. Does that help? Does that answer your question?
Yes, a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Wow, that was powerful. Yes.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Just say your name and.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, my name is Cabello.
Cabello.
Cabello, yes. I wanted to just maybe before I pose my question, just to give context, especially for one or two people who are joining us for the first time and who may not be familiar with the Unity teachings. You spoke about the 12 powers, and for those people who are joining us for the first time, is that Unity believes that the 12 disciples that we know from the story of the Christ, symbolize powers or qualities that are within us that we can work on, that we can use to raise our own consciousness. Okay, so I thought
Yes.
just for context.
Good.
That's
Good.
And so, Linda, when we were doing the 12 powers, we've done the program quite a few times here within Unity, and also as part of UUMS, the UUMS teachings.
Yes.
Now, and I loved your book and blah blah blah. It's I'm a fan. But what I wanted to just get from you is to get maybe one or two instances where you actually applied some of the lessons and teachings from the book, and how you applied them in your own life.
Oh, yes. Well, thanks for that question. I'll just say to those who haven't read the book, if you read the book, you'll see lots of examples, lots and lots of examples. I think the biggest example for me, gosh, I have so many, but I'll tell you this. My son Adrian, the one I was just talking about before, when he was a young adult in his early 20s, it was the year 2001, when he was in the U.S. Marines. He was sent to Iraq. Actually, he was sent to get ready for war. And at the end of that year, when the president then declared war, my son was driving a Humvee, an open truck, to support his unit, which was a light armored reconnaissance unit, that were the first troops to go in and make that journey all the way up into Baghdad. And of course, we didn't hear from him because they had no communications. But just imagine me, a mom, knowing my son is in harm's way. And I was beside myself with worry for a while, and kept watching the news, kept checking in to see if there was any news of how things were going. But I was so frightened for his well-being. I went and talked with a friend who was a counselor, and he did what I really love for people to do for me when I'm kind of in a crazy state. And listen, if anything's going to make me crazy, it's my kids. It's worry about my kids, right? It's easy to like forget all the truth I know when I'm worried about my kids. I mean, look, that's the human. That's the 100% human. In this instance, I knew that I could use some support. So I went to this friend and I told him, I'm so afraid my son is going to die over there. I'm so afraid. And my friend said to me very kindly, but very directly, so you don't believe all this that you teach about oneness, do you? It's like he slapped me across the mouth, right? He just slapped. I said he knocked some truth into me, because I had to stop in that moment of surprise from what he said. I had to correct my consciousness in that moment. And so what I did was go home, and then I began a practice of twice every day. I increased my meditation time to twice a day, to sit in silence and to bring my son's presence in front of me, or probably more correctly, I took myself to my son, right? I saw him in my mind's eye. I saw his light. And I started to imagine my son being a helpful presence where he was, supporting the others in his troop, taking care of people, knowing that he had a purpose for being there that wasn't about war, but that was about taking care of his teammates, And I got myself into the stance of divine love, the magnetizing harmonizing power of divine love, where I saw that I and my son are one. The harmony of love, that when I would think about my son, I would insist that on thoughts of harmonizing instead of worrying about him, I would harmonize my thoughts. And I got into the stance of unity mind with my son, saying, nothing can separate Adrian and me. Nothing could separate us. Nothing, not even, not even if his body would not come back to me. You know what? If he would die out there in the war, there is no separation in life. And I am to know that now, that this isn't about whether he stays alive or doesn't stay alive. This isn't about him being on the other side of the planet in danger and me being here. At the very thought of him, he and I are one, right here, in one mind, in one love. And I would say the prayer for protection for him, and I would just see him in the state of clarity about what he was about, and see myself and he as an unbroken connection. An unbroken connection. And I did this exercise twice every single day. And at any other times, if I started to slip and to feel worry, I would get back into divine love, the unifying power, the harmonizing power, the magnetizing power that could never separate my son and I. And he and I were one, and are, of course, one at all times. And that was the hardest discipline of my life, I believe. And it kept me from spiraling down and feeling helpless. It kept me in a state of spiritual power. And I don't know if this is true for you, but Cabello and the others, I don't know if this is true for you, but for me, I can point to some of the most challenging moments or periods of time in my life as some of the most spiritually high.
Yes.
Because when I put these principles into practice in my life, I benefit from them, and I find that I am able where I had been afraid that I was not able.
Wow, that's it.
So that was a big demonstration for me, and a long period of practice. It was 3 months of practice. I could tell lots of stories, but that one I think is pretty reflective.
Any other questions, those that are online? Thank you. Oh. There's someone-
I was just thinking.
okay.
If I may, my name is Linda, sorry.
Also Linda.
Can you come closer?
Right, so at the time, at the time, you're praying, and I'll use that term loosely, or meditating, you came into accepting that whether he comes back with his physical body or not, there's nothing that's going to separate you.
Yeah.
Can I ask this question? Had you accepted defeat? That
Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Oh, no. I got out of the question of what I wasn't, I don't see myself as needing to dictate what's going to happen or what's not. I had to get into the truth that life is, first of all, life is eternal. There is no death in reality, and that love is eternal, and that we are forever bonded. There was no defeat. There was allowance of the perfect outworking for my son and for me. I really stay out of the business of predicting how something is going to turn out. That may be different from a lot of the teachings that say declare your endpoint and what you want, and then stay steadfast on that. I'm of the opinion that all kinds of circumstances happen in life, and my job is to know what am I as I walk through these circumstances. What do I bring? Because if I'm going to improve an outcome, it's my consciousness that is involved in that. You see, there's no defeat in I suspended the thought. I'm like, it doesn't matter. See, that's where I needed to go. And here's why, because my sister had died years before that. And I had a particular experience of her after her death that reminded me that presence is well beyond the physical.
Yes.
We know this, right? Presence is beyond the physical.
Yeah.
When I had a thought after my sister's death, she came to me just in a thought. I heard her sense of humor was very different from mine. And I heard a thought that was not a thought of mine. And I knew it was my sister. It was Maureen. And then I started to think, I recognize my sister just now in the same way I did when we were over the telephone when she was alive, and she was across the country in her apartment, and we were on the phone. I did not see her, but I heard her. I recognized her presence. It wasn't about her body, her physical body. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
It was her presence. It was the unique, individuated, divine presence of my sister. And so after her death, I had that exact same experience. And still to this day, when I think about her, I envision her just as she always was in my life. And I've come to accept that there's no separation. And so I got into that same mind of understanding when I thought about my son. It was not giving up in any way. I could say, it was going higher than the physical outcome that I wanted. It was focusing on a truth well beyond that physical demonstration that I wanted. It was getting to the ultimate truth that I needed to land on. And I was free. I was free in that state of being, free from the concern.
Thank you. Thank you. If there are any other questions? Reverend, I'm coming closer. Can you see me?
I can.
We are so, so, so blessed. It was divine audacity on my part, on our part, to invite you to be with us.
Yes.
He's the first minister from the US to actually come to South Africa on a Sunday and address our congregation.
Oh,
That is divine audacity.
it's so wonderful to me to be able to do that. I'm so grateful for your invitation, and I would love to offer a blessing if I might.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, this blessing is going to come from my third book. My daughter Alicia Whitsett co-authored this book with me. And this is a book to take these principles and use them when we're in a time of healing, right?
Mhm.
So this is an affirmation for today.
Okay.
All right. This day is for me. The hours that I will live through today are for me. The day is laid out ahead of me, a wild landscape, a blank canvas. The me that is more than me, the me that is pure spirit, imbued with all wisdom and love, sets the scene and takes the stage today. May every decision I will make today nurture well-being. Grateful that I can choose my outlook and attitude. I tame the wilds and I calm the storms.
Yes.
I walk in wholeness and paint a portrait of my true identity. Today, I will attend to the needs of my body with particular care. I will lovingly support myself with healthful choices. I will choose inspiration as my guide for everything that I choose to do today. I know that whatever I let in, by viewing it, by reading it, hearing it, participating in it, affects me.
Yes.
I want my mind and heart engaged in life-enhancing, meaning-making moments. I choose to live deliberately today. And so my blessing is that each one of you have a clarity today about the unique way that divine light is available in you and for you to draw upon and to bring to life into your experience. Are you needing to to improve a personal relationship? The harmony of divine love is what you can embody and bring to life in that relationship. I am the harmony of divine love. Are you struggling with a decision that needs to be made? I am divine wisdom.
Yes.
I am divine wisdom, able to discern the way to go. Whatever it is you are questioning, bring to light one of your spiritual powers. Claim it. Say, this is the nature of God, and it is my nature, and therefore I rightfully claim it. I put it to use in my life, and I become it. Because as the Gospel of Philip says, it is impossible to see anything in the real realm, in the realm of truth, unless you become it. Right? You see here, you look at yourself, you look at the light that you are wanting to shine, and you are what you see. You see divine life, you are life. You see divine order, you are order. You see divine faith, you are faith.
Yes.
You are the light of the world. And so it is.
Amen.
And so it is. Amen.
Wow, dare to be the light of the world. Dare to be, Linda, you are the light of the world. We are really so happy to have you. We are, you know, what I like particularly about your book, we've got a lot of books on the 12 powers, and they're all powerful. They give the theory of the 12 powers, you know, in terms of the physical body, in terms of spirituality, but there, you know, divine audacity, actually you take a power and you become specific with that power in a practical situation in your life.
Yes. Yes.
In relationship, you say, I am the light of the world. I am love. I shine the light of love in this situation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is, and I think what we will be doing, we've had, like Camelo has mentioned, we've had classes on the 12 powers. We did Fillmore on the 12 powers. But now we will be doing the 12 powers from divine audacity for practical application.
Yes. Yes.
I'm with the ministerial candidates here today. I think that will be so wonderful, so that you take the power that is within you and you shine the light of understanding. You shine the light of order.
Yes.
You shine
Yes.
the light of enthusiasm. And
Yes.
that's how we awaken our spirituality.
That's right.
So we are
And
blessed and we are deeply grateful. This is not it's the first time, but it's not the last time that we will be with you. So thank you so much. And I would like to invite those that are online to put in their email addresses on the chat. Yes, put in your email addresses on the chat, we will be having a class. We will be having a class soon. We will announce it on the 12 powers from divine audacity. And just put your email addresses and put your cell numbers so that we can be in contact, especially those who are here for the very first time. Linda, I think you guys will also attend. You will be very happy. Because you know, Linda, we are a teaching ministry. We are, teaching leaders, spiritual leaders.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we are the first and only unity church in South Africa. So
Wow.
yes. So thank you so much. This is now, you've given us a blessing. So let us now bless Reverend Linda. We'll start taking an offering, and first we'll play amen. Just be with us as we say amen. As we say amen together. The amen that just says, and so it is. The amen that says, we accept everything that you've said, that you've shared with us. We accept it as the truth of our being. Let's say amen to that. Amen. Amen.
I think there's a comment online.
There's someone online before we go.
Okay, no.
Okay. One evening, and then after amen, it will be the offering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Electricity.
Oh, the recording.